Let's start with, we were just having this conversation about impeachment. In your view, A, is the president, is impeachment warranted? But B, do you think this is smart politics going into 2020 to continue to pursue this?
Well, I certainly think the impeachment inquiry is warranted, and then it will go wherever it goes. But I think it's important that we remember that America has a lot of problems that were here before the president even got here, and that we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We have to be able to look at much bigger issues than any one particular president. We need to see injustices in our economy. We need to look at millions of traumatized children. We need to look at the fact that our national security agenda is more about preparing for war than preparing for peace. We need to look at the fact that our healthcare system has more to do with sickness care than it has to do with health creation. Right. So it's very, very important that we keep our eyes on the balls that are extremely important regardless what happens in this impeachment inquiry.
So, Marianne, a lot of the divisiveness that we have in this country right now, politically speaking, a lot of it does seem to be rooted, at least in the idea of sort of economic inequalities. There are obviously different approaches by Democrats and Republicans of how to address that. How specifically are you going to address that? I see on your platform you've called basically our economic system sociopathic, and I'm wondering, what do you think the solution is?
Well, remember, we didn't have a wealth inequality problem in the 1970s. This all started in the 1980s. Now, I'm for capitalism, but I'm for capitalism with a conscience. And a virulent strain of capitalism, namely trickle-down economics, has corrupted our government and it has hijacked America's moral value system. Why is that? Because it is the idea of an economic system that is untethered to ethics or moral consideration for the workers or for the community or for the environment. You know, Milton Friedman, who was the main articulator of trickle-down economics, he himself said there had to be a universal basic income to make all of this safe for people. That's not the direction we took. And so what this has led to is the idea that short-term profits for stockholders take precedence before all else. It's immoral, it's unjust, and look what it has done. It has created a massive transfer of wealth into the hands of 1% of Americans who now own more wealth than the bottom 90%. Right. This is unsustainable. So what I would do, I would repeal that 2017 tax cut where $2 trillion went to the very, very richest, the 83 cents of every dollar of that $2 trillion went to the very richest individuals and corporations. Although I would put back the middle class tax cut, which I believe belonged there. I would stop these corporate subsidies. You tell me why we paid $26 billion to oil and gas alone last year. Mm-hmm. I would have the United States government be able to negotiate for lower drug prices with big pharmaceutical companies. And I would say to the U.S. military, what do you need? And every dollar they need, they get. Right. But those hundreds of billions of dollars above what they say they need, that defense contractors just want to increase their bottom line, that needs to go away.
Okay, so these are all policy prescriptions that resonate among Democrats, and certainly we've heard several other nominees and some other presidential candidates, voice similar platforms. Having said that, when I look at your poll numbers, your support is in the low single digits. What is your path to the nomination?
I'm having a conversation with people that is, I believe, more about root causes than it's just about symptoms. I'm not just talking about how to pay for health care, I'm also talking about how to create health. I'm talking about some of the things that are quite inconvenient for the political establishment, such as the fact that we have millions of chronically traumatized children, 13 million hungry children, 100,000 homeless children. I'm talking about the fact that our national security agenda is based more on preparation for war, because that's where the corporate profits are, than in any agenda to create peace so that this planet is truly habitable for our children's children's children. So when I am on the ground, when I'm on the ground in Iowa, when I'm on the ground in New Hampshire, when I'm on the ground in South Carolina and Nevada, this is where people hear me. And that is the political universe that matters. So when you talk about the poll numbers, of course, I'm not in the debates. But if you even look at the debates, you know, and that's where all the eyeballs are. But when you look at the debates and you look how, to be honest, unfairly the whole thing works, it's kind of a reality TV show that is actually designed to make sure that a kind of incestuous club is is perpetuated. So this is undemocratic to me. Those debates are a reality TV show. It's undemocratic to me. This is not just about me. The people who should be narrowing the field are the voters. That's what primaries are for. So to the greatest extent possible, I'm out there and I'm having conversations with voters that are what matter. And that's where I believe the practice of democracy lives, and that's where it should live. It's not a campaign industrial complex. It's democracy. It's candidates and voters.
So incestuousness of the race aside, whether it's a reality TV show or not, you're saying you want to wait for the voters to weigh in. Does that mean your plan is to stay in through at least the early voting?
I think many people recognize that there's value in having, sometimes everywhere I go, people say, we need you in the conversation, we need you in the conversation. But you can't be in the conversation if you're not in the campaign. That's the point. So everybody who says we need you in the conversation needs to go to Marianne 2020 and donate so that I can actually have a campaign. That's the point here. It's when you're actually in the running that you get to have these very, very important conversations with the voters that otherwise you can't have if you're not actually running.
All right, thank you to Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. And of course, we want to make a clear disclosure here. Michael Bloomberg is the founder and majority owner of Bloomberg LP, the parent company of Bloomberg News, and he is among the candidates.